Hi, I'm Wendy Steen Shaner, and this is Luna. And we are excited to be announcing a brand new project coming to Kickstarter, Luna Tales. This is the first collection in a series of stories about the adventures of Luna Fairyblade, a baby dragon, who dreams of being a hero. Luna Tales is a heartwarming collection of short comic stories that can be enjoyed by everyone. With wholesome fun, lessons about determination, self-discovery, overcoming challenges, kindness, believing in yourself, and working hard to achieve your dreams, Luna will melt even the coldest of hearts. Now, Luna is an adorable, relatable character who is friendly, curious, adventurous, stubborn, and always wants to do the right thing. But she can make mistakes. She has a positive personality and is a ray of sunshine in a world that isn't always that way. Yet, she sees the magic in everything and everyone. As part of our pre-launch celebration, we invite you to a special edition of You Can Draw with Stef Wilson and Kerry. So sit back, grab a pencil, grab some paper, and let's have some fun.
Okay, so what we're drawing is Luna as a dragon, and she's flying, so we want to make her look a little bit like a dragon, but still look like a bearded dragon, like a lizard. So what you do is, on your page, look for the center of your page. And what we'll do is we'll draw her eye in there, and that will build her face and the rest of her body around that. So this is a good starting point for the drawing. If you go right in the middle and draw a gumdrop shape, like that, that's going to be her eye. Now, we're going to be drawing her turned to the side and flying away, so we only have to draw the one eye. And what we want to do is draw a pupil right in there, which is a circle, but it gets cut off a little bit by the shape of her eye. And then go ahead and throw some shading in there, and then you'll immediately see that there's a pupil. And now we can draw her face around this and see that she's looking off this way as she's flying. So what you do is, she has a little ridge over her eye. A lot of lizards do. So you just do a nice little hump right over her eye like that. And that's the top of her head. It then goes into her snout. Now, bearded dragons have a unique shaped snout, so just follow along with me right to about there. Because what makes bearded dragons a little different on their face is that their mouth goes up a little bit like this. And we want to draw her smiling, so then just circle around right beneath the eyeball with a nice smile. Now that's the top of her snout, and we want to give her a chin. And bearded dragons have a pretty distinct chin. So you don't want to draw it too small. Now you've got this space over here, but that's where the frills of the bearded dragon are. And that's what Luna is. She's a bearded dragon lizard. And what you do is draw a couple little swoopy shapes like that to give her those little frills on the side. Her frills are a little fancier in real life, but you want to keep them simple for the drawing. Now what we're going to do is we're going to draw her body beneath here. And she's flying, so her legs are going to be up and her hands are going to be up. And then we're going to give her some wings. So what we do is we start by drawing the body. What you want to do is come right from the back of her head and swoop out with a nice crescent shape like that. Imagine that to be the top of the back of her body. But since her tail is going to be swirling away, we're going to kind of spiral around back that way. And what you can think of is like a garden hose when it's laying on the ground and swooping around. Just make another shape like that. And now as you come back from the end, it's thinner, but as you get closer to her, it gets wider. And you'll get that kind of idea that the tail is swooping away behind her. And that her face is closest to us. What we need to do is draw a leg in here and a little forearm and the rest of her body. And since the leg and the forearm on this side of her are going to be closest to us, we want to draw them in first because the rest of her body will be behind them. So the easiest way to do that is draw an oval here for her leg. This would represent the upper part of her leg. Now, we would draw a foreleg down here if she were standing, but since she's up in flight, she's lifting her leg up. All we have to draw is her foot. Her foreleg would be behind there. So all we have to do is draw a couple little shapes for toes. Just like that. Like little flower petal shapes. The rest of her foreleg would be behind her, and this would be the upper part of her thigh. And like her back leg, her front leg is not going to be down towards the ground because she's flying. So what we're going to do is just draw a little swoop down and then draw a little finger and go back up. Now, I don't think there's any actual flying lizards out in the world, but for when you see fantasy art of dragons or T-Rex when he's running, that would be probably the closest example. When a Tyrannosaurus Rex is running, he tucks his forelimbs in that way, and they are smaller. So that's the best way we can draw a lizard, a flying lizard forearm.
Just Luna's the only one I know.
Yeah, she's the only one. Then draw a nice little rounded shape right here to her foot. This represents the underside of her body. Now, like snakes, lizards also have scales across their back, but on their forebodies, if you've ever seen the underside of a snake, hopefully in a zoo, you'll see they have an underside that is different than the top side of them. And what that is just draw little faint lines like a ladder, but curve them a little because Luna is rounded. And that represents that she has these little plates on the bottom of her as opposed to the little scales that go all over her. Now, we wouldn't see all of her front arm and all of her back leg in this pose because her body is blocking it, but we would see them stick out. So draw a little rounded shape like that for her other forearm. And that's what gives your drawing a little bit of dimension. Like, you'd be perfectly fine if you didn't draw that and you just had the sideways thing. But if you want your drawing to have a little bit more dimension, by drawing a couple toes sticking out here, what you get is the idea that there's more going on. So you get that real 3D effect if you add those little details that would be further away and behind the body, but you make them stick out a little bit. And now you get the idea that she's a three-dimensional dragon, not just a two-dimensional profile kind of picture. Now, the only other thing about Luna that we need to add in, the real Luna, the bearded dragon, not the flying bearded dragon, is give her a little nostril there. And see her eye bump here? Like we were doing with the forearm and the back leg. We want to draw a bump just like this one, but a little bit smaller because it's further away. I want to draw a little bump next to it right there. And that's just to show that there's another ridge on the other side of her head, and there's going to be another eye there looking out on that side. But you don't have to draw the eye because that's not the shape of her. Now, you've drawn a bearded dragon, and in the position we've drawn her, she's definitely looks like she's up in the air. So we've got to give her some wings to make her a little bearded dragon.
She's Luna.
So we come up with a wing like this, just a little crescent line. Then do a longer one going out. At the end, make it a little wider. You don't have to, but it just looks better. If you think about like a bat's wings, they come to an end like that, and that's what she has. She has bat-type wings, like a dragon would. And at the ends, you make it a little bit wider. Come in with a swoop. Think Batman again with these big swoops. And there's no reason that you can't draw a dragon with feathered wings or butterfly wings. But for this particular Luna, we're doing bat-style wings. And the way you show that is bat wings have muscles in the arm, here of the wing, and then here in the forearm of the wing. So you just draw a little crescent parallel to that to show that this is a little wider than the inside of the wings. The wings are just leathery skin. Now on the other side, that wing would be further away from us, and we won't see quite the same shape. In other words, we're looking at the side of the wing. But on this side, the wing's going to be turned away from us because it's going outward. So you don't want to draw it exactly the same as you drew this one. So come up with a crescent that's a little shorter than the one you drew here. And draw another crescent that's a little shorter than the one you drew here. And by drawing it a little smaller and a little shorter, your eyes are going to, and people looking at your picture are going to think, wow, that wing's further away. And they're going to know that that shows that she's flying in a particular direction. Same thing. You want to do the little bat wings for the leathery wings, but you don't want to make this wing as wide because you'd be seeing more of the end of this wing than you would see the full unfurled details that you see here. Then what you do is, same as you did a little line here to show that there's some muscles that pump the wings, you want to do a similar line like that. And it's, again, going to be a little shorter and not quite as long. Now, she could be coasting through the air, flying like this, or you can show a little bit of motion like some comic artists do. And what you do is you just draw 2 little swoops right across the top, 2 little swoops right here, and then only draw 1 swoop on the bottom. If you draw 2, it gets a little busy, and if you draw 2 in each direction, you don't quite get the movement. It tends to look a little blurred. If you're going to draw a hummingbird's wings, you got to draw a lot of these lines because it just becomes a blur. You actually absolutely lose it. And if you ever draw a propeller on an airplane, you just want to draw a circle because you can't see the individual propellers move. They move so fast. So now you've got wings, you've got flying motions there. If you want, what you could do is put a little opening to her mouth there. And now you can do flames, like a dragon. And flames can be tricky because they have a randomness to them, but they also have a waviness to them. So if you think of drawing a wave, just don't draw your waves the same distance. In other words, don't make them the same height and the same thing, and make them random, one on the bottom, one on the top. And then you get that randomness that flames take on, because flames move very fast and are very dynamic, and they change shape instantly. So as long as you make your flames look a little random, you'll be okay. And that's all it takes to draw a flying Luna.
Perfect. Thank you so much for sharing with us.